નમસ્કાર, હું આદર્શ છું. વેલકમ ટુ આદર્શ એજ્યુકેશન સોસાયટી. Standard 10th, Subject Science, Chapter 8, How do organisms reproduce? Dear students, in the last video we have discussed male reproductive system, female reproductive systems. Now, today we will see that what happens when the egg is not fertilized, and also we will go for reproductive health. So this is the last part of the topic, last part of the lesson. Okay, now what happens when the egg is not fertilized? See, if the egg is not fertilized, it lives for about 1 day. See, what is given, you see, if the egg is not fertilized, it lives for about 1 day, since you know that where the egg is releasing, the ovary egg is releasing, since the ovary releases 1 egg every month. You know that there are 2 ovaries. In one of the ovaries, 1 egg will be releasing. Then uterus also prepares itself every month to receive the fertilizing the egg. So uterus also prepares. Thus what will happen? Thus its lining becomes thick. It means broad, and spongy means spot. See, thick and spongy. Spongy means you are saying soft. Okay. So this would be required also. This would be required. Why? For nourishing, for feeding the embryo. Of course, you know that for small baby, if the egg is, so the food is required. Okay, so for this type of preparation also will take place in the uterus. But the question is that if the fertilization had taken place, okay, if it is fertilization taken place, then like these preparations every month. Now, however, this lining is not needed, no longer is given. So this would be required for nourishing the embryo if the fertilization taken place. We know that if the fertilization not takes place, so you know that ovary releases egg, the embryo prepares. But if the preparation is what you are saying, if the fertilization not takes place, this lining is not needed. This lining is not needed any longer. So this lining, uterus lining preparations is not needed. So the lining, what happens, slowly breaks. So it breaks, or you are saying ruptures, and comes out through the body, through the outside the body, or through the vagina outside the body, as a blood and mucus. So as blood and mucus form, mucus means white slimy secretions, white slimy secretions. Okay, so this comes out through the bodies, and it usually lasts for about 2 to 8 days, depends upon the female. 2 to 8 days. Okay, now, so what are the ideas, students? Now what about menstruation? So this you are saying menstruation, you are saying. So every month, you know that unfertilized egg releases with endometrium wall contain blood and mucus from the vagina. So this is called as menstruation cycle. So shortly we are saying this is menstruation cycle. Okay, and here 1 or 2 important terms also you have to remember. You know that the menstruation cycle, it usually lasts for about 2 to 8 days. Okay. Now here 1 or 2 terms means what is menarche and what is menopause. So menarche means what? The starting or first menstruation is called as menarche. M-E-N-A-R-C-H-E or C-H. And second, the last menstruation cycle. So that is called as menopause. So here this is at the age of 45 to 55 is. at the age of 45 to 55 during this period. So this is called as menopause. Now, the last part of the lesson is reproductive health. So what about the reproductive health? So here you have to remember. So as you have seen that the process of sexual maturation is gradual, means slow, and takes place while the general body growth is still going on. Therefore, some degree of sexual maturation does not necessarily mean that the body or the mind is ready for the sexual acts. So you know that for the sexual, this mind and the body should be, what you are saying, ready for that. Ready means it should get mature, bringing up the children for female. So then how a question is asking, how do we decide the body or the mind is ready for this major responsibility? Know that there are many under pressures. Pressure from the families, pressure from the friends. Okay? So pressure from the families to go for early marriage. So you know that the body is not yet prepared. Only you have reached the age. Only you have reached the reproductive age, but the body is not set properly, mind is not set properly. But there are pressure from the families to get married and having the children, and there are pressure from your friends, and there are pressure from yourself. So there can be pressure from the government also to reduce the children. So like this, there are, in this situation, making choices can become very difficult. So you must also consider all possible health sequences of having sex. And one more thing, you are also knowing that the diseases can be transmitted from one person to person in a variety of ways also. So since the actual sexual act is a very intimate connection of the bodies, so it is not surprising that many diseases can be sexually transmitted also. Okay, so this includes bacterial infections. Bacterial infections, see, gonorrhea and syphilis. Gonorrhea and, this you have to remember, dear students, what is bacterial infection is gonorrhea and syphilis, and viral infections, warts and HIV/AIDS. So these two you have to remember. And okay, this is the way because you know that this is very intimate connection of the bodies, sexual act. So this is why here the question is it possible to prevent the transmission of such diseases during the sexual act? Yes, it is given here. Yes, it is possible to prevent it. And how? How it means using the cover that is called as condom, CONDOM, for the male organ. So during the sex, and helps to prevent the transmission of many of the infections or the disease to some extent. So this is the safer method. Okay, got the idea now? Now next one. The sexual act always has the potential to lead to pregnancy. So you know that the sexual act is go for leading the pregnancy. So this pregnancy will make major demands on the body and the mind of the woman. So this creates mentally and as well as the demands on the body for the preparation. If she is not ready fit, her health will be adversely affected. So you know that the female will be, what you are saying, adversely it will be affected. So for this mentally and physical strongness required. So therefore, many ways have been devised to avoid the pregnancies. The contraceptive methods are used. Contraceptive methods. So these methods are namely here the mechanical barrier, chemical method, and surgical method. So like these three methods are given. So mechanical barrier that you have learned. So what is this? One category of creation is the mechanical barrier, so that, and here the sperm does not reach the egg. So here what? This one, wearing the condoms on the male or similarly coverings or on the vagina. So here what will be given? Sperm does not reach the eggs. So this is the one method of what? Protecting the pregnancies. And another category of contraceptive act is changing the hormonal balance. So that you are saying chemical methods, changing the hormonal balance. So here what you are saying, the drugs commonly used to taken orally as a pills. You know that medical shops and this pills are used. And these pills changing the hormonal balances. They can cause they are hormone. So in this way that will avoid the pregnancy. So they will lose the power of the male reproductive or male reproductive sperm and female reproductive sperm, so that the fertilization will be not takes place. But here is given some side effect also will be there is given. They can cause side effects too also. Okay. And another one, contraceptive devices as loop or copper T is given. Loop or copper T. So that will be placed on the fingers. So here one will be the structure to see. So like this, loop or copper T. That is placed in the uterus. Are placed in the uterus to prevent the pregnancy, so that the sperm will not reach the eggs. So in this all the cases, fertilization will not take place. So this is the way you can avoid the pregnancy also. And one more method is a surgical method. Surgical method means what? Can be used to create the blocks. The blocking means so you know that the sperm will not fuse to the ovum. So surgery, which we said, methods are safe for long run, and here the surgical methods can be used for the male organs also and female organ also. So this may be using for the, you know that this one. Suppose this is the testis and here you know that vas difference will be cut. So vasectomy you are saying. This type of surgery you are saying vasectomy. And for the female, it will be like tubectomy. See, like this. Here it will be cut. So that the sperm will not move there. So in this way, this is tubectomy. So these two ways the surgery is doing to create the blocks, while surgical methods are the same also. So what will happen? You see, if the vas difference in the male is blocked, the sperm transfer will be prevented. And if the fallopian tube, suppose it is here, fallopian tube, then the female is blocked, the egg will not be able to reach the uterus. So in this way, can avoid the pregnancies. And surgery can be used for the removal of unwanted pregnancies also. Suppose the pregnancy you don't want, so that also. So this may be nowadays misused by the people who don't want the particular child. So due to this, what happens? The illegal selective sex selections. So you know that female is killing. So like this way, illegal sex, the male and female sex ratio must here it should not be maintained. So for a healthy society, the female and male sex ratio must be maintained. So nowadays, because of this reckless, you are saying, no, careless female sex. So child sex ratio is declining at the alarming rate. So that is why this type of finding the male or female will be stopped. So sex discrimination has been prohibited by the law. Okay, so this is all, just go through it. And you know that we have noted that earlier reproduction is the process by which organisms increase their populations. So here population increases. Know that whenever the population, the rate of the birth and death will given the population will determine the, what you are saying, the size of the country. The size of the human population is very concerned for many peoples. The what you are saying, the poverty increases, the people will not get the works. So standardness will be, inequality in the society is creating. So for the poor standards of living many people, the size of the population is relatively unimportant. So if we look around us, what we can identify as the most important reason is the poor living standards. You know that due to the populations. So that is why we should be aware of the reproduction process and maintaining the populations are also. So this is about the reproductive health. Okay, so we have completed this lesson. Hey students, go through this all. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you for joining us.